Your support helps us bring you programs you love. Go to wyomingpbs.org, click on Support, and become a sustaining member or an annual member. It's easy and secure. Thank you.
One, two, three.
Thank you so much. We're so glad you're all here, and it's a treat to be playing for you here in Du Bois, and I'm so glad each and every one of you is here, and I'm glad he's here. He spent the last month in Europe playing in Germany and the Czech Republic and Ireland, and he got home at midnight the day before yesterday, but he called me on his way home from New York and said he might miss his flight, and the whole thing was looking kind of sketchy there.
It was just a scare tactic.
It was a scare tactic?
Actually, I was scared, but it turned out just fine. Lazy John, when you gonna get your day's work all done? You're in the shade and I'm in the sun. Why don't you get along, Lazy John? I got a gal who's down the road, her teeth are crooked and her legs are bowed, but she sure is a lot of fun. Why don't you get along, Lazy John? Lazy John, when you gonna get your day's work all done? Here in the shed and I'm in the sun. Why don't you get along, Lazy John?
Every day when I get home, he's in the pot and the old jawbone. Here today, but tomorrow he's gone. Why don't you get along, Lazy John?
Lazy John, when you gonna get your day's work all done? Here in the shed and I'm in the sun. Why don't you get along, Lazy John? Then beats morning at the break of day, working in the cotton for to earn my pay. Later in the morning then you come along. Why don't you get along, Lazy John? Lazy John, when you gonna get your day's work all done? Here in the shed and I'm in the sun. Why don't you get along, Lazy John?
On Saturday night, I'm gonna dance till the morning light. Then I'll bring my baby back home. Why don't you get along, Lazy John?
Lazy John, when you gonna get your day's work all done? Here in the shed and I'm in the sun. Why don't you get along, Lazy John? Lazy John, when you gonna get your day's work all done? Here in the shed and I'm in the sun. Why don't you get along, Lazy John? Lazy John, when you gonna get your day's work all done? Here in the shed and I'm in the sun. Why don't you get along, Lazy John? Thank you. Elzic's Farewell. Here's a song by Cheryl Wheeler. In another younger day, I could dream the time away in the universe inside my room. And the world was really mine from June until September. And if it wasn't really so, I was lucky not to know, and I was lucky not to wonder why. 'Cause a glowing sky is all that I remember. The summer fly was buzzing every night when I was young. And the gentle world my scarlet senses knew. And the world was just my cousin, and the wind was just the tongue of the voice my lonely moments listen to. Now I look at me today, and the dreams have gone away, and I'm where I never thought I'd be. Seeing things I never thought I'd see happening to me. And I lay awake at night till the darkness goes to light, hearing voices calling out my name, droning over and again the same old message to me, crying, who's your partner, who's your darling, who's your baby now, and who wakes up at night to pull you in. It don't matter, you'll just make her lonely anyhow. I don't know why you even try to win. This will never fly, well, get out while you can. Look into the mirror, say it's not the same again. Every single time it makes us fall apart. Slamming doors, slipping pride, sad and angry heart. Oh, who's your partner? Who's your darling? Who's your baby now? Up at night to pull you in. It don't matter, you'll just make her lonely anyhow. I don't know why you even try to win. And who wakes up at night to pull you in? I don't know why you even try. Dream the time away in the universe inside my room, and the world is really mine from June until September. All right, thank you very much.
We're going to carry on here with a song about a fish, if that's okay. We
like fish.
We like fish. We like most things about them, including trying to catch them, which we spend a lot of time doing. And we like it so much, actually, that I made 2 whole CDs worth of songs about catching fish. They're called Fishing Music 1. And
what's the other one called?
The other one's called Fishing Music 2. I worked real hard on that title. When I was a little boy upon my daddy's knee, he used
tell me stories of the big fish in the sea. But the tale I fancied most took place in our hometown, about a living legend by the name of Madison Brown. A German speckled beauty with gold around her gills, 3 feet long from head to tail and older than the hills. Graceful as a dancer, faster than a blade, she used to taunt the fishermen who were secretly afraid of Madison Brown. Somewhere in the icy deep beneath the mossy crown lies a queen of the river by the name of Madison Brown, Madison Brown. Seldom seen but never caught, she lives a life of charm, from the railroad bridge to the waterfall down by Duncan's farm. And every spring when the water clears and the mayflies start to dance, the people come from all around to line up for a chance at Madison Brown. Well, back in 1932, beneath the stormy sky, old Jackie Taylor hooked her on a homemade damsel fly. She fought with wild abandon until his arm turned blue. He finally played her to the shore, she laid there by his shoe. But as he reached out with his net, she took off in the air. Old Jackie swears she hollered that you'll never catch me here. And then he tried once more in vain, but his reel turned to stone. And in his other hand he held the twisted fly that she had thrown. Somewhere in the icy deep beneath the mossy crown lies a queen of the river by the name of Madison Brown, Madison Brown. I stood alone, water flowing black. I cast a silver doctor, her favorite midnight snack. Then in the deathly silence, she took off with my fly. And as she raced before me, she winked her steely eye. Well, the dawn just lit the mountains when she finally came to shore. I trembled at her beauty, I was shaken to the core. So don't tell this to anyone, but I let her slip away. Back to that old river where she still rules today, Madison Brown. Now 50 years have come and gone, I lie awake at night, and I dream about a river and the time that held her tight. Somewhere in the icy deep beneath the mossy crown lies a queen of the river by the name of Madison Brown, Madison Brown. Madison Brown.
All right, thanks so much. So, how many folks saw the poster around town? Did anyone come tonight because of this poster? Did you come because you wanted to see if we were really see we're actually, our proportions are different than this, but it's true, we're actually inflatable, and we've discovered after years of touring that if we compact ourselves, we can fit into a smaller car, and it saves on travel costs. But they forgot to blow us up before this gig, so we were... Anyway, I thought it was funny. We're going to play... The Growling Old Men don't really have a hit song. But we do have this one song that's been recorded by lots of other people. And if that's ever an indication of a song's success, then this is our most successful song. And it was penned by our friend John Lowell, standing next to me. He's got a knack for writing great Western ballads that sound like they've been around forever. And this is one of my favorites that he's written. And we hope you like it. It's one called Sarah Hogan.
South Dakota. When the evening stars are shining cold and clear, and the drovers tell their stories round the campfire, the tale of Sarah Hogan you will hear. Well, Sarah was the sweetest flower of the prairie, with flowing hair and blue eyes flecked with gray. Her smile could turn the sunshine into shadow, and the cowboys that came courting her would say, won't you meet me in the moonlight, Sarah Hogan? We can ride out in the hills, my Sarah dear. Hear that prairie wolf crying, he sings a mournful song, but I will not be lonesome with you here. Billy Caldwell was a bold and reckless cowboy. He vied for Sarah's heart, not in vain. But her father could not stand the charming rounder, and he forbade them both to ever meet again. Then Billy fell in with some bad men from Wyoming. When they robbed the Tilford Bank, 2 men were killed, and Sarah did not know her lover was an outlaw. On the night she rode to see him in the hills. Won't you meet me in the moonlight, Sarah Hogan? We can ride out in the hills, my Sarah dear. Hear that prairie wolf crying, he sings a mournful song, but I will not be lonesome with you here. In the quiet shadows waiting for the outlaws were some vigilantes shrouded by the night. Sarah's father raised a rifle to his shoulder as a mounted robber lined up in his sights. And when the gunshot tore the silence just like thunder, the bullet knocked the rider to the ground. But when the men ran out to fetch the fallen outlaw, it was Sarah's lifeless body that they found. Won't you meet me in the moonlight, Sarah Hogan? We can ride out in the hills, my Sarah dear. Hear that prairie wolf crying, he sings a mournful song, but I will not be lonesome with you here. No, I'll be all alone without you here.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. We understand it's a tradition here at the Dennison to don one of the hats for a number, so, okay? He actually knows how to put the strap on over the hat. Well, seeing as we have cowboy hats on, we're going to play a Celtic song. Sort of. John and I made a record a few years ago called Occupational Hazards, and the reason was after we got finished recording all the songs, we realized that every single one of them involved they were mostly about people that did things like cowboy and gamble and murder and making shoes, and this one is about a dam worker, not to be confused with a damn worker. And we learned this one from a guy named John Doyle. It's one called The Crooked Jack. 2, 3, 4. To spend your days than working down the hole. I was tall and true, all of 6'2", but they broke me across the back. By name I'm known, and it's not my own. They call me Crooked Jack. Oh, the kangaroo's blue-eyed boy was I. Big Jack could do I can work hard hours and long. I was tall and true, all of 6'2", but they broke me across the back. By a name I know, and it's not my own. They call me Crooked Jack. Seen men only for their time, their faces drawn and gray. But I never thought so soon would mine be lined in the self-same way. I cursed the day that I went away to work on the hydro dams, but for sweat and tears, or hopes and fears, bound up in shuddering gems. Say that honest toil is good for the spirit and the soul, but believe me, boys, it's for sweat and blood, but they want you down that hole. I was tall and true, all of 6'2", but they broke me across the back. By a name I'm known, and it's not my own. They call me Crooked Jack. I was tall and true, all of 6'2", but they broke me across the back. By a name I know, and it's not my own. They call me Crooked Jack.
Thank you. Keep yours on.
You know, it's amazing. John's actually worked as a cowboy before. I think the hat works for you, but it's amazing having grown up in Massachusetts and never really having to wear one of these things before. It screws up everything. I mean,
That's why I took it off.
The sound is like completely different with this thing on. Did that happen to you?
Yeah.
Yeah. And the shadows is. Don't hire me to be a cowboy for you.
Ben and I play in a band called Canes River. The band doesn't play much anymore, but we did a tour, and we were out for about 10 or 11 days. We flew to California, to San Francisco, rented a car, and drove down to like Paso Robles or San Luis Obispo or someplace around there. We did a 3-day festival, and we worked our way back up to Berkeley and playing gigs all the way, and then we all hopped on a plane. There's 5 of us, and all hopped on a plane and flew to Pittsburgh, and rented a car and drove to Gettysburg and did a 2-day festival, and back to Pittsburgh, and then another concert, and flew home. And so we had a great time, but by the time we figured out the expenses versus the income, we all made $100. And man, that is living the dream right there. But we had a blast, which has to count for something. So I wrote this song not specifically about that tour, but about just tours in general, just going being out on the road and playing with your friends, which is a pretty fun thing to do. So this is called Somewhere Down the Road, and we're going to stick an old Lester Flatt and Earl Scruggs song in the middle of it called Down the Road. Here we go. You ready? Yep. 1, 2, 3. Get up, boys, it's 8:30. I don't know how we slept so late. Breakfast, we'll just have to wait for somewhere down the road. So grab the banjo and your guitar. We'll load them in our old blue car. I hope the next gig is not too far, somewhere down the road. I'll take my turn behind the wheel for a couple hours until I feel I need a break. By then we'll be somewhere down the road. Yeah, tank of gas and we're on our way across the San Francisco Bay, past the town of San Jose, somewhere down the road. Somewhere down the road I know another town is waiting. We'll sing our songs of love and how she left him all alone. But when the show is over and the last few notes are fading, I find myself thinking about my home. Somewhere down the road. Find our way to the concert hall. I think we played here late last fall. Packed the place, had a ball out here on the road. See our name on the marquee sign. The lights come up and we feel fine. Pretty girls, clap your hands in time as we sing down the road. Well, down the road about a mile or two lives a little girl named Pearly Blue. About so high and her hair is brown, prettiest thing, boys, in this town. Well, every day and Sunday too, I go to see my Pearly Blue. Before you hear the rooster crow, see me heading down the road. Well, Farmer Jones, he owns a farm from the hog lot to the barn, from the barn end to the rail. He made his living by carrying the mail. down the road about a mile or two lives a little girl named Pearly Blue. About so high and her hair is brown, prettiest thing, boys, in this town. Well, somewhere down the road I know another town is waiting. We'll sing our song of love and how she left him all alone. But when the show is over and the last few notes are fading, I find myself thinking about my home somewhere down the road.
Hey, before we carry on any farther, we got a couple thank yous we'd like to make mention of. And first and foremost is Chris Amend running sound back there for us. He's we'd like to also thank the PBS crew for being here, Bob and Kyle and the rest of those guys. So special thanks to the PBS crew. We'd like to thank also the Twin Pines Hotel for putting us up, and it's been great to stay there the last couple nights, so thanks to them. Yep. And last but not least, we'd like to thank Mr. John Anks for putting this whole thing together. So big round of applause for John. Talk about a guy that's dedicated and works hard, and you're so lucky to have this great series in your town. It's not something to take for granted. So,
not to mention this cool room here at the Dennison Lodge. This is a real Wyoming kind of place. I like it.
One other announcement: we've got a special guest that we'd like to bring up on stage right now, and I'm not sure how she feels about being in a band called the Growling Old Men, but if you'd kindly make welcome Jess Garnick O'Neill. I don't think we can call her a growling old woman either.
I thought I was a grumpy old woman.
You're a grumpy.
Wasn't that your song, Grumpy Woman, Growling Man? No.
Growling old man and grumbling.
Grumbling.
I
can do that.
You grumble.
Oh yeah, I'm a professional.
One, two, three, two.
Singing to me a song. The whippoorwill call is just a reminder. Pretty girls have hearts made of stone. I'm awake with the blues at dawn. My darling Corey is gone. I don't know why she told me goodbye, but my darling Corey is gone. Bought for her finger, I purchased her ring so fine. I gave her my last greenback dollar. Now she's left me behind. I'm awake with the blues at dawn. My darling Corey is gone. I don't know why where I roam, going to live down in the deep forest. Dark Hollow will be my new home. I'll wake with the moons at dawn. My darling Corey is gone. I don't know why she told me goodbye, but my darling Corey is gone. Oh, I don't know why she told me goodbye, but my darling Corey is gone.
All right, thank you.
Well, I had the great privilege of getting to record a. This isn't going to come out right.
Oh dear.
I had the great privilege of getting to know Jess while she was making a record at my studio within the past year. And this is a song that she did on the record that I really like a lot. It's one that was written by Kate Wolf, and she does a fabulous job of singing it. It's called Across the Great Divide?
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you guys for letting me play with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've been walking in my sleep, counting troubles instead of counting sheep. Where the years went, I can't say. I just turned around and they've gone away. And I've been sifting through the layers of dusty books and faded papers. They tell a story I used to know, and it was one that happened so long ago. It's gone away in yesterday, and I find myself on the mountainside where the rivers change directions across the great divide. Now I heard that owl calling softly as the night was falling with a question, and I replied, but he's gone across the borderline. It's gone away in yesterday, and I find myself on the mountainside where the rivers change direction across the great with a question, and I replied, but he's gonna cross the borderline. It's gone away yesterday, and I find myself on the mountainside where the rivers change direction across the great divide, where the rivers change direction across the great divide.
That's Garnick O'Neill. Hard to know what to follow that with.
How about one you wrote?
All right, that narrows it down. Some folks born in the right situation, some folks born with a spoon in their hand. I was born with a bad reputation. My name's Mud. Oh, my name's Mud. It ain't Rockefeller. Lucky pennies don't roll my way. Just ask the judge, ask the bank teller. My name's Mud. My name's Mud. It runs through my blood, coursing through the veins of my family tree. Sticks and stones might break my bones, but a little mudslinging won't bother me, won't bother me. My daddy was a mud just like me. He didn't mind his pedigree. He said, son, don't get above your raising when your name's Mud. So I try to keep my profile low, even though I don't have much to show. They seem to know me everywhere I go. My name's Mud. Ain't it a shame to judge a book by the cover? Some things don't change, just look at one another. What's in a name? Let me tell you, my brother, I've spent my life at the end of the line. Whoa. Mud, mud all over the place. It's on my shoes and on my face. I might track mud all over your floor. My name's Mud. But when the fat lady sings, you might be a peasant or a king. It won't really matter when you're 6 feet in the ground. So raise your glass up high. Here's mud in your eye. May we all walk side by side when the trumpet sounds. When the trumpet sounds. Oh, some folks born in the right situation. Some folks born with a spoon in their hand. I was born with a bad reputation. My name's Mud. It's a true story. Well, thanks once again to John and each one of you for coming out to the Dennison Lodge. We're going to bid you adieu and leave you with an old Delmore Brothers song called The Weary Day. Last chance for questions? No.
Jokes?
Okay. They're not. All right.
All right. Thanks for having us.
Weary day, pass away. Look what you have done to me. Just this morning, without warning, my love turned her back on me. She was crying when she left me, told me she was leaving town. It's an awful, awful feeling when your lover turns you down. Like a lonesome dove grieving for a love that can't be found. It's an awful, awful feeling when your lover turns you down. Since I saw her catch that train, something awful seems to whisper she would not be back again. Like a lonesome dove grieving for a love that can't be found. It's an awful, awful feeling when your lover turns you down. Sun sinking, sinking down into the west. I'll be thinking of my little darling, she's the one I love the best. Like a lonesome dove grieving for a love that can't be found. It's an awful, awful feeling when your lover turns you down. An awful, awful feeling when your lover turns you down.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, folks.
We'll see you later.
Good night. Right.